Hey, welcome to Fiber Lakes Garage, the home of random projects. We have lists, we have Jeeps, we have trucks, we have food. You name it, we got it. So help out the channel by just hitting that subscribe button. And if you like the video, go ahead and like it. And if you really like the video, like it and then tell a friend. But stay tuned, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna let you go because I got stuff to do. Hey, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a special guest, Mr. Dave Gyoviak.
Hey folks, how's it going?
All right, so we're gonna actually branch out a little bit on what we usually do. We do some woodworking here on the channel, but we're gonna do something for our food supply, because we're actually gonna try to protect some of Dave's bees. So Dave, what are we gonna build today?
Quilt boxes.
Okay.
Yeah, not like your quilt that you put on a comforter. It's something that you put on top of a beehive instead to make them nice and toasty and warm.
Okay, so this is mostly for the wintertime then.
Yeah,
Because frost and cold is not good for a beehive.
yeah, bees are very resilient, so they can withstand a lot of cold temperatures, even below freezing. But what they can't handle is the cold temperatures and the moisture that would be raining down on them from the hive. If they didn't have that moisture if there was no place for that moisture to go.
Gotcha. So what this doesn't look finished. So what else we got to do to it?
There was a couple things here left. I mean, it needs a coat of paint because the elements will get to it. But most importantly, if you look at this area right here, we're going to put a piece of burlap here or any kind of cloth that lets moisture through. And then on top of that burlap, we're going to put some cedar chips. And really cedar just so pests don't come in and settle in for the winter. And you want me to tell you how it works?
Sure.
All right. So pretend this is a hive right here, right? A hive of bees. I'm going to put this right on top of the hive. And I'm going to put that burlap right here. And then...
Hey, look, Dave, I found a hive.
All right. There you go. So we're just going to put it right on top. And then we're going to put burlap here and then fill it with a little bit of cedar chips or wood chips would work just fine as well. And then in the cold temperatures, the bees cluster together, so they generate a lot of heat. And when that heat goes up, it would hit the top of the box, which would be a cover on top of this. The moisture hits the top of the box and then it condenses just on the chips, not onto the bees.
Nice, nice.
And we have these little vent holes to air it out so the wood chips dry off afterward.
Nice. And you said we had to paint this for the elements. Why don't we just use pressure treated?
Well, don't really like to use pressure treated with the bees because they are not very smart and don't know that you shouldn't really chew on it and lick it. So we like to use material that is not laden with chemicals.
Because if the chemicals are in the wood, it's going to get into your bees, get into your honey.
That's
and
right.
I have to say, this is some really good honey. We go through a lot of it. That's why I'm totally okay with helping them out on any project it really needs. Because when it's harvest time, I'm busy.
Yeah. We harvest quite a bit, and Mr. Lake eats a good portion of it.
Actually, the kids do, but that's okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a couple more of these. I think we need 5 in total, and what we're gonna use is just this pine board from the depot. Really.
Yeah, 1x4 or so.
Yeah, 1x4, and what we're gonna do is actually rip it down so it's nice and square. I don't have a planer or a joiner or anything like that, so we're gonna use a table saw and make them nice and straight because we want to have a tight fit in between all of the boxes. And then we're going to put a screen in, and then we need to put a small little border around the bottom so that it will sit on top. And we're all going to take it from this little board. So, what are we going to need? Well, we're going to need some safety glasses. Got to have safety specs.
We'll pretend these are safety.
Yes, they're safety enough. We're going to need some sort of staples. Now, we do have 2 different types of staples. One for the screen, which is really small. And then we have some longer ones for some of the end pieces. Now we're also, and if you watched any of the other videos, you know I love glue. Now this glue here is actually okay for the bees, according to my resident expert here. But we're not going to put a lot on there, just enough to be able to hold it together, because a little bit of a staple is not going to hold it for long term. So let's see what else. So we're going to rip it down, we're going to sand it, we're going to drill some holes, and then we're going to put it all together. So let's go ahead and grab one of these and get it on the table saw. All right, so measurements. These are pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
Standard size for what we're gonna do.
This is an eight frame box. They make them in 2 sizes. These are Langsroth types of beehives. So they come in 8 frame and 10 frames.
So that's a frame. And then they lay in there. Okay, so this is an 8 frame.
Yep. These are honey frames. They're much shorter. They're all the same length, but the honey frames are much shorter than the brood or nest frames.
So that would be a completely different video of all the stuff about a beehive.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so basic measurements, we're looking at 13 3/4 by 20. Now, it depends on how you want to do your corners, depending on what your measurement's going to be. On this particular setup, we're not really trying to get that fancy, so we're just going to do 13 3/4 on either side. And then we're going to do 18 1/2 for the actual insides.
These won't hold any honey or bees, so there's not going to be any weight. We don't need to do finger joints on the top box. It's just seasonal.
Yep, so we're going to make this easy on ourselves. And so we're going to cut down 13 3/4.
13 3/4.
That's right.
And then the length will be 18 1/2 on these.
He's from Connecticut, so he's got a bit of an accent. All right, once again, when you're actually cutting a piece of board, just remember your blade is about 1/8 of an inch thick. So there's my line. I put a little arrow there, and that point is right there at 13 3/4. And you want to put that on the outside of your blade. Don't put it on your blade, because then it won't be 13 3/4. There you go. So here's one of the best parts about having an assistant. Hey, Dave, can you sand this for me?
No, sorry, I'm busy. No, I'm just kidding. Just gonna take the rough edges off.
Yes, sir. All right, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna still use our table saw, because that little border that we have, this little border that we're gonna sandwich the screen in, is about 1/2 inch. So we're gonna rip off 1/2 inch from every one of these boards. Now, one thing that you want to look at when you're actually ripping these boards, and you're only gonna do like 1/2 inch, well, you got to make sure that you're actually doing on the right side. So I will sit there and take all 4 of these, and then I'll look here. See, it's got a little bit of indentation right here. So if you cut that only 1/2 inch, that's going to actually limit your strength of the board. So I'm going to take it from that side. So I'm going to lay each one. Actually, it doesn't matter. Okay, here's a really good example. All right, you got this big giant knot. Well, that's not the side I want to take it off. I want to take it off this side. Even though I got a knot right there, we're going to risk it. So we're going to take it off this side, because this one's already missing, and it's not going to be very strong. So lay that out and lay that out. All right. Let's go. Contact. All right, once again, I don't have a guard on this one, so wait till it stops spinning before you walk away, or else your camera dude falls in it. All right, so we got all our boards. We're getting ready to put this thing together. So let's get rid of some of this other stuff. I'm not going to call it junk, because it's some good stuff. There you go. Hey, look, we made 2. All right, this very, very simple. First, you want to make sure that your gun has the right round, so we're going to use the longer ones for this. Where's my air? I need air. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is actually drill some holes in here for the vent, and it's a lot easier to do it when it's not in the box. So let's go to the drill press and drill some holes. So we're going to actually put a piece of board down here at the bottom, so when the drill bit goes all the way through, it doesn't splinter the wood so bad.
Yeah.
All right, so we just put a little bit of mark there, a little bit of mark there. That's going to be for 5 inches on each, just so that it doesn't look all wompy. Alright. So I'm going to put, got the board on the bottom, I'm going to put a board on top so that when I put my vise thing here, hopefully if it reaches. Alright. So now it shouldn't go anywhere. See? Doesn't have much of splinters on that side, so we are good to go. Let's do the other side, and then we are done with this one. There you go. Alright, so we're going to get our glue. Yeah. Doesn't need a lot, just a little bit of a bead. And we're going to place that right on top, make sure it's nice and square. A little bit off now is going to magnify later. Alright, so this is a staple. Can you hold that side? Just keep it straight. Alright, this is a staple. So if you go in like this directly on, that staple is going to be in the same groove as your veins going in your wood. It's not going to hold as much. That and you might split it. So if you kick it to the side just a little bit, you'll get into more of the vein. Yeah. Should really fix this gun. There you go. Gonna make that a little deeper. Need some glue, man. Alright, basic box is done. But now we need to get some screen. So where's the screen? Screen's over there.
This is standard number 8 or number 10 hardware screen.
So it was standard 8 hardware?
8 or 10, I'm not exactly sure what the size is.
Alright, so we're just going to use some basic tin snips. This is our neutral one. My cut straight, but not the screen.
Okay, as long as it's a little shorter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stick out.
Yeah, if it sticks out, that's your hand.
Perfect.
Should work. Alright, so don't forget to change your rounds because you don't really need, what is that, an 1.25 rounds in your gun. So we're going to use, what's this, 1/2 inch? No, more about, oop, that's a little too much. Hammer over here. There you go, that's perfect. How's that one getting all jacked up? Alright, so we have our screen up there. Had a bit of a gun problem. Had a round stuck in there, so we got that out. But we are ready for the bottom cap of our box here. Now, you have to understand, you cut this at 1/2 inch. Now, it's really close, so it almost looks like a square. But you always got to remember that the flat side goes down. Kind of messed up on that one on the first one. So I would recommend laying it out first to make sure. Now what I'm talking about is if I take this and move it up, as you can see there's a difference right here on either side. So we want to make sure it's flat and that they're all the same. So we can grab our rusty trusty glue, do the same thing we did on the other ones. Alright, basic square. Now we're set. Now if you lay this on there, it should fit perfectly. I hope it fits perfectly because that's where we got the boards from. And really that's the main reason why you cut all your boards down to length and then you rip it so that each one is exactly the right one. So now we're going to use some bigger rounds. These are what, 1.25 inches, I think.
1.25 inches or inch?
Yeah.
Or 1 2/8.
1 2/8. There you go. Mr. Dave gets upset when I keep calling it a
I don't say quarter in my house anymore. I just say 2/8.
I don't know what you're talking
Because
about.
my kids make fun of me.
They're laughing with you.
No, they're not. They're laughing at me.
Okay, they're laughing with me.
You're laughing with everyone else that laughs.
right. Beautiful.
Nice. So we're gonna put the screen on here just to keep the pests out.
Yep. One big problem that they have with beehives, mice, roaches.
Yeah, big ones.
Yeah, big, huge, like palmetto.
There's always a roach hanging out in every hive at the top.
Yep.
I mean,
Some of them get so big they're gonna carry your children away.
they're really harmless, but
They are harmless.
the bees wouldn't let them live in the hive, so they mostly just live on top, between the top cover and telescoping cover.
All right. So one thing my dad taught me a long time ago, when you have old tools, have extras.
Perfect. Look at that.
Bam. There you go. This is our finished product. The only thing we have left is that we're going to put some burlap down and the cedar chips. And as you know, cedar, moths don't like it. Other insects don't like it. Cedar is a wonderful, wonderful product that we get from nature.
Sometimes I'll go in a hive in the middle of the winter and the wood chips are just soaking wet, but the bees are really dry, which means that it's really working.
Yep. Yeah, was it? I think it was like 2 years ago. You kind of had a few hives that didn't make it.
Yeah. There's always a chance that the hives don't make it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pests, sometimes it's the cold, sometimes it's lack of food.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole series of videos we can do about beehives in which we might actually touch on some of that stuff. Because you have mites, you just have a lot of issues that you have to deal with when dealing with bees. But anyway, hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of how easy it is. And we'll have this thing painted and put on top of a hive real soon.
Thank you, Mr. Mike.
No worries. Thanks for all the honey and all the other stuff that we help each other out with. So anyway, check out all the other videos, woodworking, automotive, whichever, and stay tuned and we'll have some more bee stuff. Catch you later.